Welcome everybody. It is wonderful to see your beautiful faces joining us today, and we're so grateful that you've come to join us. We're hoping that we'll get a few more people that are interested to pop in as well. So we'd love to welcome you to the opening of our Cyclical Wellbeing Studio and introduce you to Sahara and myself, Amanda, and Weaving the Red Thread and what it is that we do here. So Weaving the Red Thread is a menstruality education service, and we're here to really work with and empower the women and girls and menstruators that are around us with more cyclical knowledge about how they can care for their beings, how they can understand their flow through life, and how they can work with the rhythms and the archetypal energies. And Sahara and I are both naturopathic menstruality educators. So we've worked in this field for over 20 years, gathering information, studying at university, sitting in circles, sitting with our mentors, and deeply diving into the women's mysteries and women's health and holistic well-being. So I run a clinical practice as well, and I work a lot with herbal medicine and nutrition, and I love working with women across the lifespan. And it was really hard to explain to women and other practitioners who it was that was my ideal client, because really, from the time we begin to step into cyclical living and our ovaries wake up and our brains start to communicate with our hormones in our body, until the moment that we start to cyclically step out, is all of great interest to me and really inspiring. And that's what I'm hoping that is on offer through the work that we're doing through Weaving and through all of the amazing offerings that we've got and that we're ready to launch with you today. So Sahara is the other part of Weaving the Red Thread, and she's going to introduce herself and tell you about the Cyclical Wellbeing Studio.
Greetings, everyone. It's so beautiful to be here with you and to be launching the studio. It feels like a birth of kind. Amanda and I have been in collaboration for just over 2 years. We were called together by one of the leaders in the Port Macquarie community, whose community was asking for work for their daughters who were coming up to their menarche. And she knew that both of us did mother-daughter menarche work and said, would you guys collaborate? And we were like, yeah. And Weaving the Red Thread was born out of that. And the studio has been born out of that. Amanda and I are both really interested as health practitioners to make big ripples in education and awareness so people can apply that knowledge to the way they live and therefore their health and well-being. Because at the end of the day, we're both naturopaths and our specialty is menstruality, which is the life cycle of female biology. So out of that, the studio has been born to create a home space to support the feminine paradigm of the creative cycle. We are cyclical beings. We're held within cycle with cycle with cycle. And if we utilize these cycles, they can nourish us to be really present in what we're doing, to shine, to be empowered, and again, to nourish ourselves. And it's this movement going through. So we work with these 4 archetypal energies, and the studio is built on this framework of the archetypal energies of the creative cycle, which after we open it all up and put some juice into birthing the studio, we're going to take you on a tour through the actual studio webpage so you understand how to use it, because there's lots of treasures in there. And we know as postmodern society and as mums of kids of different ages or busy women out in the world, we're all pretty time poor in this modern world. And so therefore the studio has been designed that you can go in and nourish yourself with ease and at different points and with different lengths of time. You know, there's 5-minute practices through to 30-minute practices. So I look forward to sharing the studio with you. And first up, Amanda's going to introduce some other beautiful people that we actually have in the studio with us.
And I'm muted. Okay. It has been an amazing journey as we've moved through the past couple of years. And gosh, everything that's happened that has isolated us over the past few years has really deeply reminded both Sahara and myself why it is we don't like working by ourselves. We love being in collaboration with community. We love being in collaboration with other amazing facilitators. And so we've invited 6 different holistic community facilitators to come and join us in our practices and to come and show us their understanding of cyclical well-being and help to embed some practices and practical tips and tools that we can use in our everyday lives. So we've got a beautiful community that has joined us. We've got Melissa from Seed Cycling, or the Seed Cycle, who's just got some amazing knowledge about nutrition and seed cycle to support holistic well-being through the different phases of the menstrual cycle. Hannah is from Cyclical skincare called Heart, and she's got an amazing understanding of how our skin changes and shifts during our cycle and during the phases of our lives. Alicia is a beautiful sound healer with sound practices and breath work understanding. And Julia is a moon yoga practitioner that helps us align with the different phases of the moon cycle and how we might practice menstrual friendly yoga as well. Rebecca, who's joining us today as well in the opening, is another holistic community facilitator, and she's a Gestalt psychotherapist and teaches beautiful practices that align with the lunar rhythms and the menstrual rhythms. And Jen, who's joining us today and supporting us in the opening of the studio, is the medicine woman of our beautiful community. And I'm going to just introduce Jen as well. So I'll ask you to unmute Jen. And Jen is an amazing practitioner who weaves magic, mysticism, and the esoteric into the world. She is a ceremonialist and a shamanic practitioner for the modern day medicine woman. She's the founder of the School of Sacred Shamanic Arts, and she works with ceremony, spirit, and energy. And we're really blessed to have Jen join us today. And thank you so much for being with us, Jen.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to witness you both, watched you go through this beautiful creation and birthing of the studio, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And I'm so excited to see its ripple effects in the community, in people's lives, in all of its magic and power. So thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Oh, beautiful. So we're going to move into our formal kind of ritual opening. I'm going to welcome us to Earth and Acknowledge Country. Jen's going to take us through a cleansing. Amanda's going to take us through a grounding, and then I'm going to open the directions for the studio and officially open this space and call in the self-care allies to hold it for its life. So firstly, I would like to give thanks to planet Earth. We live on an amazing planet in an incredible solar system and universe that we hardly understand. What I do understand in this studio is based on is that its nature is cyclical, and we are held within rhythms and with rhythms. And when we embrace and reclaim our humanness, we are made up of the elements and we cycle. And the east coast of Australia, I particularly want to give homage to. There is something in this land that is menstrual, cyclical, lunar dreaming. Some of the biggest leaders in the reclamation across the globe have birthed their work on the east coast of Australia and taken it out to England and Europe and America. And there's something potent in this earth that nourishes us to reconnect back with our cyclical nature. And I would like to acknowledge the land that I'm on and that you're on, and the traditional owners of whatever land you find yourself on today, and to pay respect to their leaders past, present, and emerging, and feel very blessed to have beautiful sunshine today to support us in this spring opening of the studio.
Thank you, Sahara. So I'd love to take you all through a cleansing and clearing practice, a guided practice today. So you may choose to close your eyes and just be taken on a visionary journey. And firstly, bringing consciousness to the breath. So inviting yourself to take a conscious breath in and sighing out, using that beautiful element of air to breathe in light. And as you breathe in that light, feel it going through you, calming the nervous system. And as you breathe, every inhale, that light of life, allow the exhale to be the release. Allow any tension, pain, stress, anxiety, just to leave the body with the exhale. And inviting air to move through you, to move that energy and bring consciousness to how you can use your breath in this moment to clear and cleanse. Anything that is stuck within your being. Perhaps you are thinking, stuck emotions. Maybe you're stuck in a past circumstance, situation. With every breath of light, feel that loosen in yourself and let it escape with ease on that outward breath. And as you continue to use the cycle of your breath to bring in that which you need, to release that which you are ready to let go, now invite you to envision yourself standing in front of a big violet flame. A huge, beautiful violet flame that is as big as you. It softly crackles and dances. It doesn't have any fear associated with fire. For the violet flame is a beautiful cleansing tool that we can use to clear ourselves energetically. So take a step forward now. Step into that violet flame and feel those flames encircle you. Let it burn away and dissolve any energetic cords that don't serve you. See any energetic cords connecting you to time, people, places, and events that may be draining you, that you may be still connected to. And just imagine them disintegrating, dissolving. Let it burn away any limiting beliefs, thought patterns, or behaviors that you're now ready to grow out of. What isn't serving you in this moment in your life? Have you repeated patterns? Have you repeated circumstances? Have you been attracting the same things? Allow this violet flame to cleanse you of that so that you can step up into a higher state of consciousness, a higher frequency, and a new state of being, where well-being, health, mental clarity is all with ease and grace. We'll now move into the sense of water. And firstly, imagining a big, beautiful egg shape around your whole body, around your whole aura. So your auric field is contained within this beautiful golden egg. And at the base of this egg is a one-way drain going out. And at the top is a one-way inlet that allows source divine energy to flow in like a white waterfall of light. Imagine this light starts to come in through your crown, coming in through the neural pathways, your circulatory system, your muscles, bones, skin, and tissues. Allow it to fall through your body with gentleness, washing you clean, clearing your body physically, your emotional, energetic body, your mental, energetic body, and of course, your spiritual, energetic body. Allow this white waterfall to cleanse, going down through the head and the neck, down the shoulders and down both arms, coming out of the palms, down the chest and the back, down through the abdomen, the womb space, the hips, the lower back, down through our beautiful sacred spaces, down through the legs, the thighs, the knees, the shins, the calves, the ankles and the feet, and coming out through the base of the feet, down that one-way drain, clearing you completely of anything that is not serving you, and giving it permission to release today, giving yourself permission to be cleansed energetically, that you have conscious control over this. Now imagining a beautiful grounding cord coming from your root chakra right into the heart of Mother Earth. This grounding cord continues to take what's going out the base of your egg right into beautiful Mother Earth, where she can transmute that energy. And that cleansing and that releasing can continue to happen for as long as you need. From Mother Earth, call up a channel of her wisdom that you may live by. And open yourself up to a pillar of light coming from the heart of cosmos, making you a channel connected to the earth, connected to the universe, to source, to spirit, whatever you want to call it. And bring that energy and center it into your heart. Allow your heart to expand with that light. Like a beautiful bulb that gets brighter and brighter, growing in intensity and luminosity, until that light fills your whole being. And as it fills your body to full capacity, it pushes out into your energetic field, your auric field. It continues to push out, filling that beautiful egg to full capacity with this high vibrational frequency. But when we cleanse and we clear, it is so important to fill ourselves back up with high vibrations, with positive thoughts, emotions, intentions. So as you feel your egg, your safe space, your sacred space, clear, cleansed, and full of all the energy that you want to hold for this day and for your week, come back to your breath and take a conscious breath of light in. And on the exhale, breathing your eyes open. Coming back into your body, this time and space. And giving over to Amanda for her beautiful grounding.
Thank you, beautiful. We're going to stay in this very gentle, connected space. And from where you are, I invite you now just to bring your hands to your heart and your womb space. And connecting in with your breath. Just holding that beautiful intention and energy within you that you've crafted with Jen. And as you continue to breathe from your heart, I want you to imagine from the space that you are sitting or resting, that now you are grounding down into the earth, sending roots like a beautiful tree to dig down the layers through the soil, through the crystal grids, down past the bones of the ancestors, diving deeper through air, water, through earth, diving down and down until you're wrapping those beautiful roots around that beautiful core of the earth once more. Allowing yourself to ground with earth. As you've released any worries or anxieties down through this core, invite now the energy that is transmuted, that golden light, to be drawn up through your roots with every breath that you take. Drawing this golden light into your body, flooding through every cell, coming up onto your skin, until your entire body is saturated with golden light. Bringing your awareness to the very crown of your head, and smiling from the crown of your head. See now that branches begin to unfurl and expand, reaching higher and higher, all the way to the stars, to the moon. And see this circle of branches that bring with them the intention of community. And welcome now silvery light that begins to drip down from the wisdoms above, dripping down in through the branches, flowing down through the crown of your head, swirling with the energy of the earth. And so you are connected above and below, bringing your awareness to your heart space. Bring to your mind's eye a deep love of self. See a color beginning to form. This bubble growing brighter and more vibrant as each breath filled with self-love expands, coming up onto your skin, flowing up to surround you in your space. Surrounding our whole circle today. Here you are safe. You are nourished. You are connected.
In this space, I'd like to call in the menstruality directions to hold the studio and each of us individually as we cycle, as we grow, as we evolve. So I call in the direction of the south, the element of earth, menstruality dreaming, the deep wisdom of reclamation and evolution. I call in the archetypal energy of nourishment. May we be nourished to release, to rest, to dream, to receive. I call in the energy of the east, of air, of new beginnings, of maidenhood, of curiosity, of creativity, of presence, of intent, of inhaling life, exploring life, and empowering ourselves to live life. May we feel this lightness of energy support us to be curious, to explore and grow. I call in the energy of the north, of fire, of menstrual cyclical living, of cycling. May this energy hold us and nourish us to shine, to create, to express, to enjoy ourselves and our expressions and our creations, and to celebrate ourself and life and others, to be joyous in love. May our hearts be open to be seen and to be received, and to see and to receive. I call in the energy of the West, of water, of fluidity, of empowerment, the place of reflecting so that we can evaluate, so that we can integrate, and the place where we can start to let go, where we can exhale, where we can start the descent into ourselves, into nourishment, where the cycle begins again. I call in spirit, essence. May our vessel hold our vitality with ease and flow. I call in the earth and the nourishment. I call in heart. I call in your beautiful, unique essence that is held to flourish and evolve by the cycles of life and living. I open the studio with conscious intent to nourish cyclical awareness, cyclical living, cyclical empowerment, and cyclical well-being. The studio is open.
We do a little happy dance.
Yay! Welcome, 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 welcome.
It's been a long time being built and incoming. So we are really excited that it's here and it's open. And we would love to hear where everybody is from. I know some of our facilitators are local, which is great. And Kari, you've written that you're Newcastle based, which is fabulous. But I'd love if everyone could pop into the chat who they are and where they're from and what your intention is, or what your biggest self-care challenge is.
Because we all know that self-care is an essential, and for a lot of us, especially women, it can be pushed aside. And the more it's pushed aside, the more that we are hungry for nourishment, and the more language that we have holistically, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, the way we relate to others, socially, our sexuality, and our connection to spirit, is all affected when we don't nourish self.
And we know for women particularly, we see that very clearly through our menstruality well-being, when we're not in balance and we're not in flow. So the studio is being launched in its very early stages, and that's what today is all about. We're calling it our pre-launch period, and it's akin to the 4th trimester. So we're in our very delicate 4th trimester, where we're going to be nourishing all of the cyclical rhythms of the studio. We'll be building up on what we've currently got in there, but working it into a flow that's really rhythmical for us, and so that we can work out any tech issues which we don't want to impact long term. So we need to be making sure that we're right on top of everything as it's coming in. So we're really excited to have you here as we launch. And we're looking forward to lots of other people watching on replay, which we know many people couldn't get here live today, but to understand what the rhythms of the studio will look like and what we're offering within our Foundational Weavers membership as well. So Sahara is going to take us on a studio tour through the creative cycle, through the archetypal energies that the studio is built on and that are inherent within all of our cyclical practices, so that when we're moving from a linear world, which is very 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, we're starting to bring more of that cyclical living and understanding into the base level foundation of how we rhythm our lives and how we self-care throughout that cycle as well. So I'll hand over to Sahara.
Awesome. I'm going to screen share and take you guys into the studio. This is going to be first glimpses of the studio. And I just want to really acknowledge that, you know, what has been put in the chat, the biggest challenge of time and remembering to take time. And the studio is crafted to integrate cyclical living into daily living, because we've been brought up in a patriarchal world, and we've been brought up in a world that values on, and it values 24/7, and it gets conflicted at this notion of a movement of energy that's coming to a peak and it's coming back down, because we just want people to be present and available and highly productive. What we do know is that when people live cyclically, they're more present because they're nourished. They're more productive because they're nourished and they're present with their creativity, and they have the spaciousness to be able to be reflective with it. So let me share my screen. And I'm going to put you in full view. Oop. Let's see if this works. Okay, welcome to the studio. This is the homepage that you will land on. There is studio orientation. So when you become a member, because the studio is unique, we don't know of anything else like this out there. There are amazing programs and schools and portals that hold you in learning and exploring deeply cyclical living, either through the menstrual cycle or through the lunar cycle or through the seasons and the cycles that hold us outside of our body. But we don't know of a studio that is actually supporting this integration into daily living. So studio orientation, great place to understand how the studio works. And because we know we're time poor, we've got monthly recommendations here. So this is like Red School talks about the 1% rule. We're time poor, we're challenged to actually prioritize self-care. Give it 1%. They've got a 1-minute practice. It is so potent when we just give ourselves a little bit, if we just carve out a little bit of space. So monthly recommendations, you don't have to think there's 4 practices there for the 4 phases of the lunar cycle or the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. So whether you have an active menstrual cycle or not, the lunar cycle and the menstrual cycle are akin in their frequency of length as an anchor point that we can actually cyclically move through. We've got the circadian rhythm, which is the 24 hours. Our hormones move slower than that. So that circadian rhythm is the same movement of energy, it's just quicker. So we use the menstrual cycle or the lunar cycle as an anchor point to understand these archetypal energies and how they move and flow uniquely for us. And then we've got Welcome Week replays here for anyone for ease to catch up on what's going on. And then you enter into the studio. We've got weekly Wednesday women's circles. This is where you can book in. It's free for our studio members and anyone on a trial. The booking just gets you automated class reminders so that you don't have to think. You'll get a reminder with the Zoom link. You come and join us. They alternate between mornings and evenings on Wednesdays, so that, you know, it can suit different people's lifestyles and rhythms. And then this is where we come into cyclical living. So we've got the menstrual cyclical living portal or the lunar cyclical living portal. If you have a menstrual cycle, this is where you go in here. And where are you in your cycle? So for me, I'm post-ovulation. So I would actually go into the ovulation category to choose a practice that will nourish me. These are the ones that are up at present. There's 2 weaving practices, and there's one from Jen, our holistic community facilitator. And I would choose one of these to actually nourish me. Now, I don't think I can go backwards when it's in full screen. So hold on one moment while I get out of full screen. If I am currently cycling with the lunar cycle because I have finished my menstrual cycle, or I'm in transition out and I'm not too sure where I am and my cycles become really long, this is another anchor that can hold us when our hormonal internal cycle is starting to get irregular and we don't know where it's at. Or if for whatever reason we're in our menstrual cyclical years, but we're not actually having a menstrual cycle, we can go in here to this portal. And we again choose, are we in the dark new moon portal? Are we in the waxing moon? Are we in the full moon? At present, we're in the waning moon. So we would go into the waning moon category and choose a practice to actually support us. And these practices are from drum journeys to meditations to rituals. There will be more practical science stuff coming. So each quarter, Amanda and I will be putting new information in, and one of the first things that we're going to be putting in is actually landing, you know, the menstrual and lunar cycle. And a big thing for us is the menstrual menopause transition and giving support for our women in their 40s where they may not realize that they're in transition out of menstrual cyclical living into post-cyclical living with the moon and the other cycles. And like puberty, where we are entered in over a period of time, and it takes a while to work out what the rhythm is because it's getting established, the rhythm's doing the opposite. It's unestablishing itself so that it can transform into something else. So there'll constantly be new things added in. And then weekly, we want you to be empowered. The ultimate thing out of all of this for me and Amanda is empowerment, for you to know yourself, to know how you flow within the cycles that hold you and how to use them as your allies to support you in your health and well-being. And when we talk health and well-being, we're talking physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, sexually, spiritually. All of it is affected by the cycles. So each Sunday there's an email that goes out and you get a weekly empowerment reading. We've got these amazing cards from Red School that we use that have been developed for the menstrual cycle, because the menstrual cycle is the same movement energy as any cycle. You can apply these for all cycles and basically choose one card, 1, 2, or 3, and we will give you a reading of what self-care ally you've got for the week aligned with the lunar energy. So going into this week, coming up with the waning moon, surrender, to actually release into the calling back, the calling in. The energy is starting to move from an external expression to more of an internal expression. You may be called to reflect. You may be called to evaluate. You may be called to let go. And so your self-care ally for this coming week is surrender. And the nourishment is what helps you to surrender. That's unique to every single person. So to do a little bit of inquiry and go, what supports me to surrender? Do I need to schedule in some time? Do I need to ask for support from people in my life so that I can have time? Do I just have to give myself permission that it's okay? What is it that will nourish you to be present with you as the energy is moving internally in our lunar cycle? And then
I think time management seems to be the hot topic in the chat as well, because not having time for self and not having the ability to prioritize time for self as well are really something that we've heard over and over and over again from beautiful women who are just burnt out and exhausted. So the studio is designed to make that as simple as possible. because we've got such short, potent practices that brings up the capacity of cyclical self-care. Once you've identified your self-care allies and well-being, the weekly circles, the immersions, there's all of these opportunities to lean in to your capacity of how much you've got available on that day, and schedule at a time that suits you, because everything that we're doing live, we're offering a recorded version for, especially during Welcome Week, all the practices that come up. If you can't get to the studio each day live, jump onto the replay link, because there's such quick practices that bring potency into your well-being.
Totally. And the studio has been developed. We've spoken to lots of women and mums, and the biggest thing that they said, like we're saying in the chat, is time and prioritizing self. And therefore an on-demand library was the preference with some lives. So, you know, we've got the lives for community with Come to the Women's Circle, and any of the immersions that we offer, they will be live, but you can come and do them in your own time as well. So not this coming week, but next week, we move into the Dark New Moon portal, and we've got a 3-day immersion on that to really deepen into the energy, to ground into it and go, what is this energy? How can I use it? And then to actually experience it, and then to integrate it to where you're moving forward, because we're always in motion. We're never just in one place. The energy is always moving somewhere. And we also will hold immersions for the solstice and equinoxes, which our holistic community facilitators will be with us in some of those as well, which is exciting to do collaboration with other amazing practitioners and facilitators of cyclical well-being. So that's kind of an overview. The holistic community facilitators, they're in here, and you can click into them and see their practices directly. So Jen has beautifully offered the studio elemental practices, and they are amazing and potent. They are from 5 to 10 minutes. You know, we talk to ourselves that we don't have time. Try it with, you know, try carving out 1 minute and just putting on a timer and going, I'm just giving myself 1 minute of silence to ground myself. I'm going to put my feet on the earth. I'm going to stand in the sun. I'm going to put my hands on my heart or my womb space, and I'm going to breathe. And just the difference between how I felt at the beginning to the end and how potent that can be. And these practices in here, the water one is my favorite. I highly recommend you do the water one. It rocks, Jen. I absolutely love it. And all the practices from the different facilitators are here for you to actually access, and they will be highlighted throughout the year as well, where they get to run their own women's circles and actually share with you their wisdom. And I'm really excited to be learning from them, because some of their stuff I know bits of, and I wanted to learn more, because I'm always thirsty and hungry to understand how to nourish with more ease. From, you know, the food you eat to the grounding practices you do to, you know, how I schedule my calendar. And over here in the Menstrual Lunar Creative Rhythm, these are 4 practices that take you through specifically the movement for the menstrual and the lunar cycle, and takes you through a chakra movement and their reflective journaling, which gives you insight into what nourishment you're receiving for your dreaming, how to actually ground intent and explore it, and then how to actually manifest it, and then how to reflect on it and gain the treasures of reflection, retrospection, and then how to actually then nourish again, so you go back into the cycle. So that is a little studio tour. And
we might
Amanda's
bring Welcome Week up as well, Sahara, while you're on there, and jump into what Welcome Week looks like.
Okay, here we go.
Beautiful. So today's the opening, which has been beautiful and wonderful, and thank you everybody for showing up. But every day this week we will have an extra practice live that we will then be recording and sending out that evening as a link that you can hop on and do one of the practices. So like we said, these beautiful holistic community facilitators are going to be joining us each day live to help embed a new practice or awareness that you can practice while you're there or take home as well. So on Monday, Alicia's joining us to lead us through a sound and grounding vocal resonance exercise, which I'm really excited about. And it all could use a little bit more vocal projection. And I think speaking our authentic truth is often a great way to clear out the energy around the vocal cords. On Tuesday, Melissa, who's seed cycling and runs the Seed Cycle, will be teaching us about menstrual health and seed cycling 101. So that will be fabulous. And is going to be sharing some of her recipes on, oh, can you go back to that other page?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
I was
Bella.
multitasking and forgot that I was screen sharing.
Okay.
Sorry,
Love it when
everyone.
you multitask. We all do, right? And then Hannah's coming in on Wednesday to talk about cyclical skincare and some of the different aspects of well-being that we can look at for our skin and holistic health there. On Thursday, Rebecca, who is with us today, thank you, Rebecca, will be teaching us how to connect in with the waning moon, your body and your deeper self through embodied sculpture practices, which I think we're all going to have a little bit more room around us, because that will be a movement-based practice as well, isn't it, Rebecca? Yeah, beautiful. And then on Friday, we've got Julia flowing us through a cyclical yoga practice and teaching us the alignment of the moon with our yogic practices and with our menstrual rhythms with the yogic practices. And then on Saturday, we're coming back to wrap it all up with another celebration at 3 o'clock. We're not really closing, we're closing Welcome Week, but we're very much flowing into the next big immersion. So from the Saturday practice, on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday of the following week, we'll be holding the immersions for the Dark New Moon immersion sessions, and they'll be held at night at around 8 o'clock each evening, that you can either jump into live, because as mums, we're going to get everybody else down and sorted, and then have a bit of time to self as well. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to jump into some, if not all, of the Welcome Week practices and get to know the facilitators and the different practices that are available for you throughout the studio over the next couple of months. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything I missed from Welcome Week?
I don't think so. So Welcome Week is like a smorgasbord of us and our holistic community facilitators to give you a taste of what's in the studio. And part of having the holistic community facilitators is not only broadening the information of cyclical health and well-being, it's also nourishing a community of sharing. You know, we've got the medicine wheel, which is 360 and everything's on it. What's your medicine? Like, you know, this is something Amanda and I teach the young girls when we do mother-daughter circles. It's like, what are your self-care allies? And when we come to note what our self-care allies are, from the elements to the herbs, to food, to movement, to people, to inspiration, creativity, cognitive stimulation, we know how to nourish ourselves uniquely. Because what nourishes me may nourish you, but it may as hell may not nourish you. So something that we're going to explore in that closing is, what's a self-care ally that you may already have, that you may not be aware of, that you can actually utilize to support your nourishment, your presence, your shining and your empowerment as you move through your cyclical nature. So yes, and that's what the studio is exploring at essence, is, you know, cyclical awareness, conscious cyclical living, and the well-being that it brings for humans, regardless of where you are in your hormonal cyclical nature. We are held by so many cycles, and it's the same movement of archetypal energy, just in different time spans. So we're going to finish up today with doing a cyclical check-in. Since we're talking cyclical and cyclical well-being, how do we live in a linear world and be cyclical? The first thing is just to check in and go, okay, where am I at? So if you want to close down your eyes, if you feel comfortable, or just lowering them, if your hands feel drawn to a certain part on your body, mine are drawn to my heart space. You might find that you're drawn to different places, your womb space. You might even like to cup your vulva. That is something that we invite people to do in our practices. And the feedback that we've received is, the connection people get, because it's not something that we're invited to do as females from a very young age. When we hit puberty, we're kind of thrown out of our pelvic bowl. We're told that, You know, the menstrual cycle is going to be something that we don't want, and it's not going to bring anything fun to our life, especially premenstrual and menstrual. And sexuality and masturbation with girls is definitely a topic that's got lots of taboos and stereotypes and restrictions around it, whereas boys are kind of invited into their pelvic bowl, and they're kind of told you're going to have wet dreams, sexuality is going to start to explore. So by actually bringing our awareness and touching our pelvic bowl can bring a connection that we've never been invited to have before. So just taking an exhalation, allowing yourself to arrive in connection with your body, with your mind, with your heart, with your sensuality, with your energy. What menstrual day are you on? Or do you cycle with the moon? And we are in the waning moon, which means that it is decreasing and moving towards dark moon. This just gives an anchor point for where you are in your cycle. So in your linear life, yes, it's Sunday and the week starts tomorrow. And are we prepared? But on this Sunday, what menstrual cycle day are you? So what energy does that give you? Are you in a rising lift, a peak of expression, or is your energy starting to decline? Are you in deep nourishment and invited into the void to receive and dream? And with the lunar cycle, we're in the waning moon, where we're being invited to start to move internally, start to actually say no a bit more to the outside world and start to cultivate more time for the inner world. So what's alive within you today? I invite you to check in with your mind. You might even like to place your hands on your head. What's the narrative? What's the story? What are the words that are creating your reality? And then bring your hands to your heart space. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling vibrant? Are you feeling sleepy? Are you feeling extroverted and curious, playful? Are you feeling internal? Are you processing? Bring your hands somewhere on your body. How does your body feel today? This is your earthly home. It creates a home for your watery matrix to move and be fluid within. It gives you substance to be here on earth. How's it feeling? Is it talking to you? We have a world that talks in symptomology. At Weaving the Red Thread, we talk in language. Our being is always talking to us, and our body is one that we do hear, and we usually hear its pain. Its pain is just a vocab that we need to decipher. What is it bringing our awareness to? And placing your hands back on your lower abdomen, your womb space, your vulva. What will nourish you today? What will nourish you this afternoon, this evening, for now, and to also take you into the beginning of the linear week? And is that nourishment something you can do for yourself? Do you need to ask anyone's support to hold space for you? while you nourish? Is there anything that you're needing for that nourishment? And slowly opening your eyes and coming back into the here and now with gratitude for just checking in to see how you are, what's alive within you, and what will nourish you at this point in your menstrual or lunar cycle with the energy that is holding you. And if anyone would like to share in the chat, you can share what is your nourishment that you may have found out during that experience. What is it that could nourish you this afternoon, not only for now, but moving into Monday and the working week? So with cyclical self-care, it's the now, but what we do in the now supports where we move to. So the future is always the future, but the now becomes the future. So if we don't follow our own wisdom in the now, our future is still needing that wisdom. You're
muted.
You're muted.
I've got little people in the background. So yeah, look, lots of outside time coming up in the chat, which is great. So I'm on cycle day 14 and in that big ovulatory energy as well, which is great because we're shining and we're launching the studio and it's all ready. But my nourishment's definitely going to be outside and with my family. We've got a little platter coming up for celebrating launching the studio. And yeah, and Becca said beach is one of her best her self-care nourishments. We did that one this morning. I had to get into the water this morning as well. So it's beautiful what our self-care can be, and our self-care allies are, like Sahara said, so unique to each person, but there are some generals that help to reboot and rejuvenate. And whether it's raining outside or bright and sunny, finding a way to get into the garden or connect with nature in some way can give us that realignment and that recalibration of doing those small practices and finding those intentions in each movement.
Totally. And the traditional principles of naturopathy, what air do you breathe? Like your air nourishes cellular respiration. So if our air quality isn't that good, or we're inside and we've got aircon, that's going to affect the way our body and our holistic physiology runs, and it may not make us feel so great. So outside air, sunlight, we are creatures of sunlight, basically, and we need the sunshine. Jen had posted on Facebook, I saw something about sunshine, everyone responding and going, yes, yes, yes. You know, we're beings of sunlight. They're encased in earth and have a watery matrix of sensation and processing, but in essence, we are beings of light. And so when the sun's not around, which for a lot of us in Newcastle, it hasn't been,
or anywhere,
it feels amazing for it to be out. The water that you drink, so the quality of, we're a watery matrix held by skin. The water that we drink sets up the matrix that our alchemy happens within. Our nutrition, how do we feed our body? And sleep. Sleep is so fundamental to our organism. Our organism doesn't work well with sleep deprivation. And the biggest thing that I hear from teachers and mentors of the women's mystery is, if there's something you're going to prioritize, sleep is really important because it sets up the flow for the next motion. So, you know, these are our foundational human self-care allies. And then we get to differentiate and go, well, what do they look like for me? And that's through conscious exploration, experimentation, and seeing what it does over time. Does it take us to where we want to move towards, or does it not? You know, we've never lived in such a time of choice of information and medicines and practices. It's working out what works for your system and your being.
And Hazel's just saying nature for sure. Oh, and she's up earlier. I love that, Cara. Hazel, that you're getting up earlier before the kids and the family get up.
Yep.
it's a reset moment for the day and so powerful. I remember when my kids were tiny humans, I would go to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I was like, I'm out. I just need to be out of the house, and this is the only time that is mine. So carving out and knowing that, and particularly when we're shifting from mother and how we claim those moments of self-care and motherhood to the menstrual menopause transition, where those moments of self-care may not be as intense from a family perspective. We might be able to carve out a little bit more spaciousness, but it's the most important part of our menstrual menopause transition, which we know begins at 40 and takes about 15 years to get through that whole transitional time of if we don't have great self-care allies in place and we don't understand the cyclical rhythms that we are within, that's when we start to see that language speaking really, really loudly, and we start to see all sorts of interesting things come up in our bodies and in our well-being as well. So that's our next big deep dive into the menstrual menopause transition and how we can help to support women through that process as well.
Totally.
So really,
and opening up that narrative, I'm in this studio at one level, is it's opening up the narrative that we're cyclical beings, male, female, gender fluid. Being human is cyclical. We are held within cycles upon cycles, and we can harness them and their potency for alchemy and for what it is that we want to do. And it takes a bit of conscious effort for a lot of people because we don't live in a society that supports any of this. And the really interesting thing for women, more so than I found when talking with men, is that because we have experienced, or we do experience, the menstrual cycle inside of us, when we start to talk this cyclical nature, women are like, I know what you're talking about. I've just never cognitized it before because I've lived it. I've lived it in my body. And the anchors that it can give us, especially when we're feeling that we don't have anchor points, you know, we are held. It's bringing that awareness to that holding. And we really hope that the studio is a platform that really nourishes cyclical awareness and practices so that daily living can be held for you to be fluid and be in motion. So Amanda, is there anything else you'd like to share now in the opening? I think we've covered everything we wanted to share with you guys.
Gone through everything. We're excited about what's coming. The frameworks are in place, which I'm like the frameworks of the studio, the frameworks of the practices, all the blogs are in place. We're getting all of our rhythms and routines in place, which is really lovely and exciting. The only thing that I would remind everyone of is if there's any complication that comes up or something doesn't work like you think it should, please just get straight in contact with us so that we can get onto the top of it on what's going wrong. Because the website that we're using it in a way that people haven't used it before. And so we're expanding their minds a little bit in terms of what we know can be possible. But we're just waiting for them to make sure that they're catching up as well. So there will be more practices being uploaded regularly. There will be more blogs coming in the next couple of months as well. And we're really looking, and we'd really ask that if you have women or girls or younger women, older women, wherever they're in, that you feel would really deeply benefit from being a part of the community, we would love if you could help to share this far and wide, because we are still within the current menstrual taboo. It is really hard to get people to lean in and say yes to something that is very different and new, and possibly isn't something that they understand that would benefit them. So Sahara and I are on a little bit of a journey to firstly educate women and menstruators about why they might need to know this information and how that can benefit them throughout their well-being and their life. Most women and menstruators don't even understand that the menstrual cycle is their 5th vital sign of life. And if there is dysfunction, and to the level that they probably haven't really been taught about what good menstrual health looks like, to even know when there has been dysfunction. And we're in a medical realm that is catching up currently for looking at the menstrual cycle as a 5th vital sign of life. I don't think it's something that we're commonly asked about as a reflection of stress or well-being. And we've come out of a very intense few years where we've seen ovulatory dysfunction jump from around 20% to about 67% because of the incredible stress levels that women and menstruators have been under during this time. We're seeing a lot more hormonal dysfunctions being shown up. And with the illness that's been going around lately, there has been shown menstrual dysfunction that comes after having a longer experience of COVID as well. So there are layers upon layers upon layers that are creating a lot of noise in women's bodies right now. And we're looking to try and have those conversations. So whether it's sending out the free practices with the menstrual lunar creative rhythm that you're linking someone into, or sharing a blog post that we've written, we just would love this message to land far and wide, and to start to share this information in a way that's really accessible for women and menstruators to gather this wisdom. And if they do want further information, sure, jump into one of the foundation memberships, and we'd love to have them there and work with them as well. But we would love this information to start to create ripples of change, so that we're not holding that silence and shame for the next generation that comes, and so that we can start to change these conversations as women, so that we're not stepping into our menstrual menopause transitions with silence or discomfort there as well. Yeah, I think that's
totally opening up the narrative from beginning to end, from life, you know, from birth to death, and, you know, puberty, menstrual cyclical living, birthing, menstrual menopause transition, menopause, postmenopausal, and the mature years. We don't know the stories. And therefore we don't necessarily know where we're going. So as much as we work with young girls, giving them an idea of where they're heading to, because the mums want them to have a different story, those mums who are in their 30s, 40s are like, where am I going? Because I don't know the stories, the story, the holding, the sharing of knowledge through the lineage has been broken for hundreds of years. And this reclamation that I alluded to at the beginning across the globe, it's happening. Women are reclaiming this information. They're reclaiming it for themselves. They're reclaiming it for their daughters. And there is a very big menopausal conversation on at present. And reframing what that looks like and what a woman's identity is on the other side of that. And if we understand the cycles that hold us, we've got lots of different anchor points, so that when we lose the menstrual cycle inside of us, we've got other anchor points where we know where there is ground. Because that is one thing that I've heard in listening to people going through the transition is you just lose the rhythm. But we're actually held by different rhythms, and we're transforming. So I'm going to close up the studio, and then if anyone's got any questions, we can answer any of them. Well, I'm not closing the studio at all. I'm just
closing our circle.
Closing our circle, because the studio is open. And I'm going to pretend that I'm dropping a pebble of awareness down into the universal consciousness, and that there are rings of awareness and conversations spreading out. This is a main intent of Amanda and I's for all the work that we do, is to put ripples of change out into the layers of community and the infrastructures that hold community, and how individuals hold themselves in their homes. And that the little changes that we do, it's all got a ripple effect that goes on. And the more that we ripple, the more that this isn't just holistic, complementary, left of center information, it becomes mainstream. This is our nature. We're cyclical human beings. We have not been taught that. And it creates a lot of disconnection, frustration, and illness in humans, because they don't know how to work with their own inherent nature, because we're not taught about our biology. We're not taught about our holistic physiology that goes through all our beings, and how they interconnect with each other, and how we're held by the planet that we live in and the body that we live in. So in closing the circle today, I put out these ripples of curiosity and conversations, and may this information, which is our birthright, become mainstream again. Blessing.
Yay. Thank you, everybody. And we would love to hear if you've got some questions for us, or something that you'd love to know about the studio. If everyone wants to unmic.
Yep, we can unmute.
To jump in.
Can I do that?
I think Hazel has to do it. And
Okay.
yeah, I can ask
And
them that.
Hazel, thank you so much for joining us from Ireland. That is really exciting.
Oh, is she coming up? She's typing.
Maybe, let's see, participants. I can, no.
That's all right. Beck's unmuted. Do you have a question as well, Beck?
Okay, Hazel just put something in the chat. No.
No, that was me.
Oh, awesome. Beck, would you like to share something? And Beck is one of our other holistic community facilitators and my sister. Beautiful to have you here.
Yes, layers of connection.
Layers of connections like layers of cycles.
Hazel's just said if she starts talking, she's going to wake the whole family up.
Understand.
Okay, we'll keep you very quiet.
In the wee hours.
All yours, Beck.
Yeah, well, I guess I'd start by acknowledging where I'm at in my cycle. I'm perimenopausal, and that's actually been a really good journey. And as far as the studio goes, it's really exciting to be involved and great to actually open. And yeah, look forward to how the week unfolds and sharing with everybody their different practices and sharing mine as well.
Yeah, thanks, Beck.
It's a pleasure having you with us.
Okay. And did anybody else want to ask any questions or do anything else before we close up today? Everybody look good, or your mum and dad are popping in and out of the frame.
Awesome.
Okay, well, we will leave everybody to enjoy the rest of their either evening or morning, depending on where you are. I'm so glad that you joined us. Thank you so much today. We are so grateful for everybody who either watches this in person or watches it on replay. And we just invite you to be involved and reach out and connect with us, because that's the beautiful ripples that we want to come through and into community. So thank you so much, and blessings on the rest of your afternoon, and we hope to talk to you soon. So we'll see you during Welcome Week, 12:30 each day. If you put on a reminder, exactly the same Zoom link, but you'll get an email tonight that goes, hey, here's your daily, well, because Hazel, you're so far away, you might have to figure out timing, but definitely same time every day once you get that. And the emails will have the replay and also the live Zoom link. So at any point you can grab that information.
Before you finish,
Yes. Hi,
I'm Sahara's mother, and I congratulate you girls. It's fantastic and lots of information there. All very new for me. We never had any of this sort of information, and I wish you well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mama. And I am a channel for this information as a reflection of the household that I grew up in. So even though the lineage has been broken, the way that you mothered me and the household that you and Dad created for me was one of inquiry and curiosity, and of lineage, and what that means. And weaving the red thread is about reestablishing the lineage that is inherent within us. We're just not necessarily so cognitively aware of it, and therefore we're not passing it forward to the younger generations because we're not living it consciously, even though we actually are. So Mum, thank you. I celebrate you, and this birthing is a result of everything that's nourished me, and you've been number one in that.
Thank you, darling. Wish you all well and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Sending love to all of you, and whatever you received for that nature nourishment, may you all get some nature today and feel what that brings to you, and look to if there's a particular element in the nature that you go out to that might be speaking to you, because we definitely respond to all the elements, but there might be a element that is more akin to you and nourishment for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Okay, stop recording.